Georgia-Germany Business Forum, trade and business objectives to develop and deepen trade relationship between Georgian and European companies. Today's business forum is one step forward. Ladies and gentlemen, as Ambassador said, friends of Georgia, ambassadors, ministers, I would like to thank you, and I would like to thank you for being friends of Georgia, first of all. Indeed, we had 25 years of re-establishing our statehood, and in this process, the role of Germany was existentially important for Georgia. One thing Mr. Chanturia did not mention is that at the origins of re-establishing our statehood and independence, he was Minister of Justice, and he was the author of First Civil Code of Georgia, which was based on the German principles of legislation. So I would like to thank you all very much. I am very glad to be here. I would like to thank EU-Georgia Business Council and Ambassador Chumburidze for arranging this very important event. This reflects a growing role of Georgia as a regional economic and trade hub and investment destination. We are really proud to be in this position. At this year, we celebrate, as I mentioned, 25th anniversary of regaining independence. And Georgia has transformed itself during this period from a country damaged by 70 years of totalitarian rule and ravaged by civil war into a modern, democratic, and dynamic state. It is no exaggeration to say that we serve as a cornerstone of democratic values, stability, and progress in a very difficult region. In this challenging period of steadfast reforms, the Georgian people are making hard sacrifices, adapting to a new world, and committing to a constructive path for the future. And we are thankful to our friends in Germany to have been important partners along our very difficult journey. Georgia is on a steady path to deepen our ties with the EU and the Atlantic Alliance. We are making good progress in implementing association agreement with European Union, including aligning our rules and regulations to meet EU requirements. New opportunities for investors are on the rise thanks to the association agreement, part of which is deep and comprehensive free trade area agreement. Later this month, we will sign a free trade agreement with European Free Trade Association, EFTA, which includes Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Iceland, and Norway. A key milestone in our integration process into the EU will be visa liberalization. Georgia has fulfilled all the criteria for visa liberalization, and now we await a final decision from the EU. Our ties with Germany continue to grow as well. The joint Georgian-German Business Forum that's taking place during my visit to Berlin underscores how our countries are working together to drive economic growth. Bilateral trade in the first 4 months of 2016 amounted $132 million. Top German exports to Georgia include automobiles, medicine, and machinery. Georgian exports to Germany include tires, food products, and clothing. German foreign direct investments in Georgia are also growing. In the first quarter of this year, German FDI increased 77% compared to the same period of the last year. There is an abundance of opportunities in the fields ranging from hydro and renewable energy to processing, agriculture, and tourism. And as a sign of the growing tourism sector, more and more Germans are taking their holidays in Georgia. Over 36,000 German visitors came last year, and overall 230,000 Germans visited Georgia between 2005 and 2015. What investors and tourists see in Georgia is a country that is stable, welcoming, and on the rise. Georgia's success is rooted in three pillars: economic development, security, and democracy. According to the World Bank, we are one of the easiest countries in which to do business. We have 9th lowest tax burden in the world, and all the major credit rating agencies consider Georgia as stable. We believe that promoting internal economic development goes hand in hand with attracting investments. Our government has adopted a 4-point reform agenda designed to ensure long-term sustainable development and inclusive growth. Reform agenda covers growth-oriented reforms, including the tax system reform, capital market development, pension reform, etc. Infrastructure modernization, reform of the education system, and good governance will be given high priority in our agenda. Georgia has historically played an important geographic and geostrategic role in the region, and it's no different today. Georgia has become a vital transit and energy corridor connecting East and West. Pipelines linking Caspian oil and gas fields to Turkey and Europe pass through Georgia, as well as new road and rail networks that make Georgia an important logistical hub are under construction. The further development of our Black Sea ports, including the new deep sea port called Anaglia, strengthen Georgia's position as a key player of the new Silk Road. Our role as a regional hub draws investors to Georgia. Given our ease of doing business, stability, and rule of law, as well as our generally cooperative relationships with all our neighbors and near neighbors, we are an excellent jumping-off spot for doing business in the Caucasus, Middle East, Turkey, and even in Russia. Georgia sits in the heart of a vast and growing network of free trade deals and preferential export regimes, stretching from the EU, EFTA countries, Turkey, and CIS countries to the US, Canada, and Japan. And soon, we will be the first country in the region to enjoy free trade agreement with both EU and China. Let me turn to the security situation, because economic development depends upon stability and peace. On the security front, our relationship with NATO allies is excellent. Georgia's European and Euro-Atlantic choice, which is the will of Georgian people, is irreversible. We see cooperation with NATO as a return to the European family of nations where Georgia belongs. It represents progress toward a more secure future for all of us. Unfortunately, Georgia's aspiration to join the democratic family of European nations is falsely perceived as a threat by our northern neighbor. Russia's concern is misplaced. Georgia's membership in NATO will widen the zone of security and stability in Europe, and we know that a stable region is a precondition for economic prosperity. At the July NATO summit in Warsaw, we need a strong show of support from our allies. For Georgia, it is essential that the outcome of the Warsaw summit will be a clear-cut and evident step towards membership. The summit outcome should have two dimensions: political support and reconfirmation of irreversibility of Georgia's integration process and deepening of practical cooperation. Security and prosperity are nothing without freedom. In the past, the lack of an independent judiciary in Georgia was a challenge to the country's democracy. Now we are focused on building a depoliticized police force and the rule of law which applies equally to all citizens. We have taken consistent and decisive steps to protect the judicial branch from political, financial, or any other influences. And we have ensured that judges and prosecutors have life tenure and peer-to-peer regulatory oversight. We also firmly believe in freedom of expression and free media and have made substantial progress in this direction. In 2015, the Freedom House rated Georgia as the leader in freedom of press among the countries of the Eastern Partnership, and Georgia has advanced in other most recent rankings. Our commitment to freedom of expression will be crucial this year as we look ahead to parliamentary elections in October. Since 2012, we have delivered free elections on a level playing field at both the local and presidential levels. We eagerly anticipate elections monitoring this year, and we work to ensure that 2016 elections are the most transparent and fair in Georgia's history. This democratic progress is squarely in line with the values of Georgian people, and it's also a key component of building a society where trade and foreign direct investments can flourish. In closing, I would like to say that as Georgians, we are proud that our country's economic and democratic progress are vital sources of regional stability. When we look to the future, we see united and prosperous Georgia fully integrated into Western institutions. We see a future where we resolve difficult problems and enjoy good relations with all of our neighbors. We see Georgia as a critical nexus safeguarding European energy security. We see flourishing regional hub for trade, transportation, and logistics. And we see a lasting partnership between Germany and Georgia. Thank you very much.